What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. Game week 19 starting in a few days, but we're here with something slightly different. It's been very focused on team selection, transfer plans going into the recent game weeks have come thick and fast. However, we've had a bit of an exciting announcement with a potential, with a new free hit chip, as well as some potential double game weeks that could be coming very soon on the horizon into the new year. We will look at the spreadsheets from Ben Krellin. We will talk about the new free hit, how I plan on combating them, potential chip strategy as well for me going into this run of fixtures over the new year with these double game weeks and through the rest of the season as well. So as you can see on screen, this is how my team is currently lining up for game week 19. It hasn't changed. I have made no transfers yet. As we get close to the deadline and there have been no postponements yet, I'm feeling slightly positive that we may get none. We may get a couple closer to the deadline, but it is feeling more positive that those Arsenal and Manchester City games that I was worried about could now go ahead as well. We've also heard that Ronaldo is back in training for Manchester United. There was a bit of a scare early in the week when he wasn't pictured with the squad on their first day back, but it looks like he is back and fine. So as I've said, I will wait until Boxing Day morning on the 26th, the morning of the deadline, to make any of my transfers. I'll be doing a live stream then as well for my transfers and to answer all of your questions going into game week 29. But let's dive into what we're all here to discuss, that new free hit chip and the potential upcoming double game weeks as well. So as you may be aware, an additional free hit chip was announced today. It is Wednesday at time recording, Wednesday evening before the cup matches are taking place. So we've had a free hit given to us. We already have one. If you've used your one already, then you will get a new one. If you haven't used it already, then you will get a second one. So you will have both. A few things to note: you cannot be played the game week after. So a lot of us were thinking, okay, maybe I can free hit in game week 21 and 22, which we'll talk about as potential double game weeks. You cannot do that. They cannot be played in one game week and then the following game week there has to be a gap between them. They do not expire like the first wildcard, so there is not a date you have to have used your first free hit to in order to get the second one. From game week 20, we will have both free hits available. So once you play one, the second one will not be available, of course, for the first game week after you played your first one, but then the following game week you will have your second free hit chip available. And as I say, everyone gets one. So if you've already played your first free hit, you will get your second one and you will have one available. And if you haven't, you will get an additional one. So you will then have two free hit chips available. This is to try and help us best combat with these fixture postponements. Now, it's looking like we are actually at the back end of what is potentially the fixture congestion and postponements that we've seen with COVID. Game week 16, 17, 18 was where it was really impacting. So hopefully we don't get it in the upcoming weeks. But it does mean there's been a lot of postponed fixtures. It means there'll be lots of double game weeks to go in the second half of the season. So they're trying to make the game a bit more fun, a bit easier for us to tackle those doubles, potential blank game weeks going into the second half of the season. We do have a second free hit chip to use. I personally am quite excited. I think it will make the game fun, but I understand how some people think that maybe those of you who have already used it have gained a bit more an advantage because there aren't that many opportunities for us to use it. But I think it's great nonetheless. Let's hope it can make us all get a few more points in the second half of the season as well. But one of the key areas this ties into, and we're going to discuss now, is the potential double game weeks that we could have in game weeks 21 and game weeks 22. Just before we dive into that, a reminder of my December charity fundraiser. I won't talk much about it, but please don't skip this section. If you join as a member, stream super chats, donate in the thanks section down below. If you just watch my video, including the adverts, as well as every new subscriber, if you don't want to do any of the above, 10p for every new subscriber during December. So we are getting towards the end of the month. Final few push to get that money for the Action for Children charity. If you do want to consider supporting, these are some easy ways. As I said, just watching the videos and subscribing, which is completely free, does donate to charity as well during the month of December. However, into those double game weeks. So these have not been confirmed. Let me just put that out there straight away. We have not had these confirmed yet at time of recording, but Ben Krellin seems to think, and with the way that the fixtures have changed, with the change to the FA Cup sort of replays not being a thing anymore and all of that, we do seem to see that we may get a double game week in both game week 21 and game week 22 as well. It's worth noting that the game week 22 double is more likely than the game week 21 double. Game week 21 coincides with the next rounds of the EFL Cup. However, the game week 22 double would fall in a midweek between game week 22 and game week 23. There are no fixtures to be scheduled there, so it seems like a great way for them to get ahead and start start playing some of those games that need to be postponed. Now, we talk about chip strategy. If game week 21 and game week 22 is likely to be a double. Now, game week 22 seems, from what people are saying, seems very likely. Game week 21 seems slightly less likely depending on what happens with the replays in the FA Cup and whether the EFL Cup needs to be a 2-leg semi-final. However, with the chip strategy that is taking place, it seems to be this is the best way to go about it. Free hit in either game week 21 or game week 22, and we'll talk about whether you should do game week 21 or 22 in a moment. Free hit in game week 30, which is likely to be the big blank game week of the season. Now, there's always a big blank game week for the FA Cup final rounds, which we get later in the season. Seems to fall with game week 30. You can then wildcard between game week 31 and game week 35 before bench boosting in game week 36, which seems to be another chance for a big double game week towards the end of the season. So you can wildcard to prepare for that double game week in 36, where you can use your bench boost. You can wildcard to make sure you've got a playing keeper, you've got a good bench, and for the final few game weeks of the season. This allows you to play your triple captain basically anywhere elsewhere that you would like. You could play it in game week 21 if you free hit in 22, or vice versa. Or there are likely to be other smaller double game weeks as well throughout the season because, for example, Manchester United and Tottenham have also both had a fair few games postponed, which is why they could go into 21, but they could also go later in the season. So your triple captain can go elsewhere in the season, but you could also play it in game week 21 or 22 if you don't play your free hit in those. If you've already used your first free hit, I would probably advise, again, going with a very similar strategy here, not playing your free hit in game week 30 when there's a big blank. What you can do going up to that game week 30 is use your free transfers to prep for that blank game week in game week 30, and then wildcard in game week 31 to give you a squad ready for the rest of the season. However, now let's quickly discuss about a free hit in game week 21 or 22. First of all, it's most important that I think game week 22 is more likely, and it is going to have slightly more double game week fixtures compared to 21 if things go ahead, as Ben Crellin on Twitter says. If you don't follow him already, make sure you go and check out the guru of double game weeks, of blank game weeks, of the fixture schedule. That is Ben Crellin on Twitter. However, it's also worth looking at, so these are the ones we've got, game week 21 and game week 22, but it's also worth looking at potential fixtures after these runs to see which players that you want. Manchester United have 2 double game weeks. West Ham only double in 21, but we may want to keep them long term, so buying them for 21 and potentially free hitting them out in 22 is a good idea. However, we have the opposite for Aston Villa, who have a double in 22 and a single in 21, so you may want to free hit them out in 21 and own them in your team for 22 and beyond. However, the key one for me here, I think, is both Arsenal and Chelsea, which sit very low down on this fixture ticker, which is taken from fantasyfootballhub.co.uk. There's a link in the description if you want to check it out yourself. Chelsea have a double game week in game week 22, so you may want to own some of those players. However, after the double game week, that game week, they have a fixture against Tottenham in 23, which is not easy looking at the way Tottenham are playing now, and then a blank in 25 and 24. So you will not want to own any Chelsea players really, especially for 24 and 25. So what I really think is the viable strategy is playing your free hit in game week 22, where you can buy these Chelsea players back if you want them for a double game week of Manchester City and Arsenal, as well as you can buy back Arsenal players with Tottenham and Chelsea, but you can sell these players going into what is a difficult run of fixtures after those double game weeks. So Arsenal then play Burnley and Wolves followed by a blank, whereas Chelsea play Tottenham followed by 2 blanks. So for me, losing the strategy that we've got here and playing your free hit in game week 22, free hit game week 30, wildcard after that, and bench boost game week 36 is the strategy that I currently am planning on using. Looking back at how that potentially impacts my team just before we wrap up, I've got 1 Chelsea player, I've got Watkins on my bench, and I've got triple Arsenal. So if I am looking to prep for a team to play in game week 21, free hitting in game week 22, James is absolutely a player that I'll be looking to transfer out, with Tottenham definitely being a fixture run and team that I'll look to target. So Reguilon could definitely be a player that comes in for James. Odegaard, White, Ramsdale, I definitely don't think double Arsenal defence is what I want, so White could make way for potentially a Watford or another Tottenham defender. Odegaard, again, with a difficult run of fixtures, I think he's a good asset, but maybe not one that I'll want to own. So those are my thoughts for game week 19, going into game weeks 20, 21, the double game week that could be 21, the double game week that could be 22, the chip strategy we could play for the rest of the season, as well as that new additional free hit that we have been given today by official FPL. I hope you have found it useful. I'm sure you all have lots of questions about all of this. Drop them in the comment section down below or message message me over on Twitter. The links are all in the description. I'll do my best to answer each and every one of you as soon as I possibly can. But if I don't see you before now, have a lovely Christmas. Good luck in Game Week 19. I will be back streaming and doing videos between now and then. But if I don't see you, good luck. And if I do, I'll be back again very soon.